Forgetting to remember, take one. It's not about me. It's about the disease. And it's about research. It's about funding.
Luke McLaughlin's story is having an impact, giving Iowans a glimpse at the challenges of living with early onset Alzheimer's. The Norwalk native has been sharing his journey on social media and making a documentary called Forgetting to Remember. The final chapter's still being written. Now Luke is contemplating his ending to a terminal disease. WHO 13's Kaylin Thompson explains why Luke's choice may not be his own to make.
Here for a good time.
Not a long time. That's right. That's my motto.
Luke McLaughlin began living by that motto shortly after his 45th birthday, ever since he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Sadly, it's a disease his family knows well. Luke and his brother lost their mother to it in 2001 and their sister 24 years later. Both were in their 50s.
I hate it so much that they have to go through this a third time. And I can't let it go. That's the one thing that I can't let go of.
Shannon has watched the disease progress for 6 years. Luke turned 51 at the end of April. He moved in with his brother and sister-in-law last year.
So Shannon and Jen give me my pills. I go down in the basement, and every time I will take them, and then probably 90% of the time I say, did I take my pills? And they just say yes.
It's hard to understand younger onset Alzheimer's unless you've known somebody that's kind of been through it. I mean, following Luke's story is just a small glimpse of what they have to go through.
So did we do some other stuff too?
Oh, we did lots of.
We did lots of stuff.
You did lots of things.
So I failed on every single test. I failed miserably. Everything. So I will not be driving a vehicle for the rest of my life.
Luke is losing his independence right along with his memory. Yet there's one thing he's not been able to forget since he was diagnosed in 2020.
I was living in Texas, and then I was on Netflix. It was about medical aid in dying. I'm like, I'm doing this. I was like jumping out of my seat. It's like, this is what I want to do. I'm like, then I can go out on my terms, and I can say goodbye to my friends and family. But we're still here trying to have an option for medical aid in dying.
Luke's pursuit has not been easy. Medical aid in dying is legal in 13 states, yet even that might not be an option.
These laws that are here in the United States don't typically help folks with dementia.
To access medical aid in dying, physician and Iowa lawmaker Austin Baith says a person must have the mental capacity to make a health care decision and communicate it, the capability of taking the medicine themselves, and health care providers must confirm a prognosis of 6 months or less.
Well, folks with dementia are unique in that their prognosis, time-wise, is typically much longer in terms of life expectancy, but they lose their ability to make an informed choice much sooner, and therefore have sometimes years of the inability to make that decision.
I could be alive for 30 more years, and think about the money and the pain and the suffering and the, that I can't accept.
Luke's determination led him to Pegasus, a voluntary assisted dying organization in Switzerland. Pegasus accepts applications from people around the world and is more accessible to patients with dementia.
He has to be able to do two things. He has to be able to say his name and then also say what is going to become of the action you're about to make.
They've already sent in the necessary paperwork. If approved, Luke will meet with a psychiatrist over Zoom and eventually travel to Switzerland to complete the process.
It's ugly. A lot of terminal illnesses are ugly, and I think that needs to be an option for whatever terminal illness you have.
Luke has his family's support in whatever option he chooses. He also knows the people he cares about most are wrestling with his decision too.
If the person's ready, you know, and they get to choose to avoid a lot of that suffering that might even occur before hospice does something or intervenes, then I don't see why a person shouldn't have that choice.
Dr. Baith says the choice is about giving patients control over a terminal disease.
Patients who receive medical aid in dying aren't making a decision whether or not to die. They are making a decision of how and where and when they're going to die. We find that people who actually receive the medication for medical aid in dying, that even a third of those folks don't even use it. But it was comforting to them to have that option, to still have that ability to control the outcome of their life.
Control that Luke is still waiting to find out if he'll be allowed. He does have fighters in his corner, a family advocating for him and all patients living with a terminal illness.
Year after year after year, I will keep pushing, and I'll do it because of Luke. And that will be my driving point. I just want him to have it. I want him to be able to do what he wants to do and not be told by other people that he can't do that.
With Luke's blessing, Jen drafted a bill and called it Luke's Law. The goal is to expand end-of-life options for patients with terminal neurological diseases like Luke. She's reached out to lawmakers to gain support and is hopeful Luke's documentary, Forgetting to Remember, will create more conversation and understanding about medical aid in dying.
A viewing of the documentary will be held this Saturday, June 20th at Floor Cinema. It airs at 7 o'clock. There will be a Q&A with Luke and the director after. We'll post a link to buy tickets on WHO13.com.